Yeah.
And then whenever somebody would like try to provide feedback on like the content or whatever, to like, hey, like maybe we should include this because it might be make it more interactive and people will be more engaged because like engagement's a huge thing. And then they would go, or he would always say like, you know, it's perfect. It's just like then and like make things better and constantly like improving it. Then like he still had Word documents. Like he had Word documents where it was just like a list of things that they would have to go type in the YouTube link, watch the YouTube, and then for whatever the course was or wherever he had it saved like on Vimeo. And then it's like, or you could just put it into the learning because that's what everybody's doing right now,
Yeah.
right? Like
That's how mine was.
yeah.
It's like basically an interactive PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Quiz it on.
Yeah, and
Little synopsis.
PowerPoint's getting so powerful now. Because like it used to just be like slide information.
Come back after your hike.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
There's two ways.
Two loops.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is the one and this is the other one?
Yeah, paved and easy, steep, dirt, and hard.
The closest one.
What's the shortest one?
To the top,
Yeah?
to that peak, probably that way.
Okay. How many?
I don't know, there's a sign down there.
Uh-huh.
1 hour and a half and 1 hour and a half too?
So I think the
1 hour and a half.
steep one is like an hour and a half, right?
I've done it in like 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. 45 minutes.
45? Only to the sign. The signage.
The Hollywood sign?
Yeah.
You can't get to it from
Yeah.
here.
Huh?
You can see it, but it's far away that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You just want to see it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Solo quieres ver.
45 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay.
¿Qué dijo?
Thank you. 45 minutos.
¿Pero qué?
Hasta allá. Hasta la donde se toma la foto.
No,
Thank
pero
you.
no se puede
You're
hacer algo.
welcome.
Sure.
No.
So we're live on my channel and Twitch and stuff. I'm gonna do a
No hay
quick sync.
transporte.
Sure.
Transporte
¿Para dónde?
para subir allá.
What do they want? What do you want? What do you want?
No, something like
Y le preguntaré que si hay transporte para subir un poquito.
something like a small car or
Oh, no sé si tienen aquí.
or something.
I don't think. Are they asking for like a transport?
There's no bicycle,
Okay.
no cart, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm. Pero quieres ir
Tomar una
más
foto.
próxima al final de Hollywood.
Sí.
No,
Entonces hay otro.
la puedes ver desde
¿A
algo más
dónde
cerca,
otro?
desde
Está
algún lugar
explicando.
Sí,
más cerca.
hay más cerca de la ciudad.
¿Dónde?
What's the name of the hike that goes closest to the
Lake
sign?
Hollywood Park is good to see sign.
¿Dónde? Mira, acá.
Pon el güey.
Have you guys done the Hollywood sign hike before? It's not that great.
We're here.
20 minutos. Because she's like, I want to do that.
20
minutos.
It's pretty busy.
Lake
Good-
Hollywood
good
Park.
is great. Yeah, I think it's
That's the best
still close.
view
But walking or in car?
in
Oh, the
car.
hike, yeah.
20-minute drive.
I'm sorry, I was
okay.
thinking of
So
the observatory.
And you'll get good.
Foto de
I think the
Lake
observatory is so
Hollywood
close,
Park.
but you
Mhm.
can hike like all the way up and around. It's great.
Been to the observatory. Like, when I was a kid, I remember that.
Yeah.
I like the observatory. Yeah.
Okay.
Hagámosla ahí. Y de ahí caminar. Desde ahí nos toca caminar.
And from that point, the parking to the...
There's good parking. Easy parking.
Okay, and how many minutes to the parking point
They'll play
to
like,
the place where
come
you
sail
can take the
away,
photo?
come sail away, and
It's
you're,
right
flying
there.
through the galaxy.
It's close.
1 minute.
Ah, okay.
Less.
Okay, okay.
It's right there on the road.
Vamos a eso.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Vamos a decir.
That is
Sí,
a
güey.
very popular thing right now.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, bye.
Sure, no
No
problem.
problem. Buena suerte. Do you guys find many like free events on Meetup or stuff where people?
So like the thing I went to yesterday was like a $10 charge.
Okay.
But I mean, I've been taking a peek and I think it was like a meditation thing,
Mhm.
and everybody was like sitting in a circle with their arms up laughing, and I'm
Okay.
just like, interesting. I'd give that a shot.
Wow. Yeah, I love trying new things. Cool. See if one of them wanted to do like an interview. People's first introduction to epistemology is being interviewed. So
Right.
Let me do a quick audio sync.
Sweaty.
Table.
Is my hair crazy person bad?
tree. Person vibe is a lot more about what you say. So you're going for that.
I mean, I do have some Italian in my ancestry. I might get a little heated.
Okay.
Okay, how is the stream? Is it too choppy? Is it better now? Hopefully it's better.
He's talking.
Yeah,
Well, he did say he was live,
should be
so-
better now. All right. Cool. Come on down. And sorry, what was your name again?
My name is Lindsay.
Lindsay. Hi, Reed.
Hi, Reed.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, yeah, want to do headphones?
Oh, yeah.
I want to take off your glasses.
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect. So, yeah, welcome to the Street Epistemology Los Angeles meetup. Yeah, just put it on the meetup just to see what happens. You never know who I'm going to get, and you found us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah. So, how did you find us really on Meetup? What did you search for?
In-person events, Los Angeles today.
Okay. Today. Yeah. Yeah. Just I wasn't sure if I was going to be doing this today. I had a board meeting for the nonprofit, which relates to street epistemology earlier this morning, so I wasn't sure if I was going out, but I just delayed it a little bit. I'm usually here from 12 to 4, but I just came a little later, and I'm glad I made it out. Yeah.
Awesome. I didn't know that this was related to an organization.
There is a organization now related to it. I'm president of the nonprofit, but right now I have my regular SE content creator hat on, not in any official capacity right now with the nonprofit. So yeah, with street epistemology, we like to chat with people about whatever they want to talk about, type of claim they could give reasons for, and I help them think about their potential reasons for it, why they are so confident about it. I'll get their confidence level, and then we can explore, are those good reasons, what reasons in mind, stuff like that. Does that sound like fun?
Sure.
Awesome. So yeah, politics or religion, spirituality, science, philosophy. You said your major in rhetoric, right? Or
Mhm.
your degree in rhetoric.
Rhetoric, and then psychology, and then I went to law school.
Amazing.
Yeah. A lot of time.
Awesome.
So I was thinking maybe we could talk about friendliness
Mhm.
and maybe how media, and exacerbated later by social media, made friendliness almost uncool, and how lockdown might push us towards alleviating the effects of that.
Okay. Friendliness,
Mhm.
and it seems to have become slightly uncool nowadays, and one potential reason is social media and other things. Yeah, so let's try to make the claim like the coolness of friendliness has decreased over the year, or what's a better way to phrase that? Or is it an all-time low, or is just not where we want it to be? What's a good claim?
I don't want to be
around
sensational about it, so maybe just like over time, the value of friendliness had decreased due to depictions of say, sarcastic humor being so prevalent in television media, upon which people started growing up on because both parents were working and a lot of people used television as babysitting, and our examples of what a cool person were always like dark and twisty and angsty, sarcastic, funny people.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of set an example for a couple generations, I think, at this point, of like, this is how you be adult. And that got into people at a younger and younger age. So as they strove to find their way in the world and protect themselves from, you know, seeming lame or childish, they lost their willingness to admit that, you know, they want to go play with their friends at around junior high because, oh, well, we don't play in junior high, we hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we can't, you know, just go up to somebody and be like, hey, I love your shoes, do you want to be friends? Because that's not cool.
Gotcha. Let's focus on maybe this question. Has the value of friendliness decreased in the past 20 years? How about that as a question?
All right.
All right.
I certainly think it has in the minds of most people.
Okay.
On the other hand, I feel like the people who have maintained their value into their value of friendliness have become those who succeed in business settings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So those who succeed in business settings, that's the main contingent of people who have lost value in it, or no?
The opposite. Like, I think that what makes somebody a successful business person tends to be their willingness to engage others.
The willingness to engage others leads to success in business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those people are more likely to value friendliness.
So friendliness rather than friendship. There's
yeah,
pretty
friendship. Yeah. Because friendliness is a kind of, what is friendliness in your mind?
Friendliness is just kind of the very basic ability to like go up to a stranger or a group of strangers and like smile and be open to speaking to them and act like, you know, you have time for another person instead of like burying your head in your phone and going like, oh, I can't talk, I'm too busy, or like, oh, I'm afraid of approaching a stranger because I'm an introvert, or like, you know, just giving yourself every reason not to be open to making new friends.
Mm-hmm. The openness to have time for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. That's part of the main part of friendliness.
To me, I'd say so.
Gotcha. All right. So if we replace the word friendliness with people has the value of being open to other people decreased in the past 20 years? If all the way to the right is absolutely yes, 100%, that is decreased, or not sure, or absolutely no, it has not decreased, maybe increased. Where's your current confidence about this?
I'd say that's a tough one because most people nowadays would say that they're more open towards other people without necessarily it genuinely being true. So like a lot of our dialogue in modern society is about being open to people who are different than you. Mm-hmm. And what that means is not being like violent towards them or being ostracizing them, essentially. And so that type of openness, I'd say, has increased. But at the same time, the isolation from not being physically present or having less to do on your own has made us like less likely to seek out strangers, such that we can put into practice these ideals we have about people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have friendliness people if we're isolated.
Right.
It has to be contact in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So your confidence, where do you think it would be for this question? What's a good spot for it right now? You can feel free to update it as we talk, but it's like this side is the answering of the yes, this side is answering no to that question. And how much are you answering yes? How confident? And how much no are you?
I'd say 90%. I'm confident in saying that the value of friendship has decreased over the last 20 years? Or not friendship, friendliness.
Friendliness,
Sorry.
yeah. Okay, so you can move it to like almost to all the way to the right over there.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right, now let's try to find the best reason for being at that level of confidence.
Okay.
Good reasons we can have on the table to evaluate.
Oh, like postulates that I would prove?
Yeah, what could you say, if it was true, it would imply that it's a good reason to be at that level of confidence?
Okay, so if it's true that most people feel more lonely while engaged in social media for a larger portion of their time, then I think this is probably true.
Okay. Let me try to think of the connection there. Yeah, if you're feeling lonely, that's a very different thing from friendliness. You're not feeling lonely when you're being friendly with people.
It's really hard to feel like you have no friends if you're out actively trying to make them. Is what I would say that idea just popped into my head from. Because there's a sort of hope involved in the friendliness demeanor. Like, hey, maybe this person is awesome. Maybe they'll think I'm awesome. That's why I'm doing this. And if you're too preoccupied by the pain that comes from feeling lonely, you're not going to be able to have that hope.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. So how can we boil that down to a tweet size talking about social media?
Oh boy. Never had a Twitter, so give me a moment. Preoccupation with loneliness because of isolation prevents hopeful friendliness.
Preoccupation with loneliness because of isolation prevents hopeful friendliness. Okay.
Did I meet the character count?
I think that would apply. Preoccupation with loneliness because of isolation prevents hopeful friendliness. We can remove because of isolation because it's a reason for that claim. We can get to that in a minute. So preoccupation with loneliness prevents hopeful friendliness.
Mm-hmm.
Or should we say isolation prevents hopeful friendliness?
I don't know. There's something important about the pain aspect of the postulate that we currently have. So maybe if we keep it like the pain of isolation distracts us. Pain of isolation creates a barrier to hopeful friendliness.
Pain of isolation creates a barrier to hopeful friendliness. Okay. And more hopeful friendliness increases friendliness in general. Just hope,
We can probably take out hopeful, I suppose,
Okay.
If we're trying to distill it down to its barest bones.
Mm-hmm. All right, so pain of isolation creates a barrier to friendliness. And related to that, I assume, is like isolation has increased in the past 20 years?
Yes.
Okay. What about the value of friendliness? How can we connect some type of thing to the value of friendliness?
So I think that avoiding boredom is a core human drive, like part of what made us more social before we had TV and internet and, all of the entertainment that resulted was that we were bored. So we would go out and we'd hang out with people.
I remember in 2007 having the first iPhone. I'm like, I'm never going to be bored again. Even with like, the really crappy before 3G internet, it was just, even then, I'm like, wow, this is going to change things. but has, yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, no, I sort of felt the same way, even though I was super late to the smartphone conversation. I didn't get one until 2015, and I texted somebody from it, and I was like, hey, I just got a smartphone, and they were like, welcome to the year 2005.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, good one, bird. But I lost track of where we were.
The value of friendliness. We were talking about pain of isolation creates a barrier to friendliness.
So to alleviate boredom, we would go out and socialize. Because we now have isolative entertainment,
I see.
We no longer value socialization in person as much.
We can satiate our boredom without interacting with people now. We can have isolating entertainment options.
Yeah.
Like Netflix and just scrolling on social media all night.
Watching other people argue on the internet, which is not good for our mental health, no matter what a guilty pleasure it is.
Yeah. Okay, I'm liking some of these. Now I'm seeing the connection here. So, if the pain of isolation creates a barrier to friendliness is our main reason. Isolation has increased, and the increase of isolation reduces the value of friendliness. So potentially, value of friendliness decreased in the past 20 years. And you can't, having a barrier to friendliness stops it from increasing. Can we say just isolation isolation reduces friendliness? Maybe. Or is that not enough?
I don't think that quite grasps the essence of the claim.
Let's just start with the value of friendliness. What can we add to that?
The value of friendliness depends upon our ability to meet our needs without other people.
The value of friendliness depends on our ability to meet our needs without other people? So if we can meet our needs without other people, we have less of a need to value friendliness? Okay. All right, great. And our ability to meet our needs with other people has increased in the past 20 years, maybe.
Did you say with or without?
Without.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our ability to meet our needs without other people has increased in the past 20 years. Therefore, the value of friendliness has decreased in the past 20 years. That is tight. That's I like that. That's a good connection. All right. So that's our one reason with the two premises connected together. Any other reasons that doesn't use the vocabulary of like meeting our needs or meeting our needs? Any other reasons around for this claim? Isolation and boredom. Maybe those are just subsets of meeting our needs.
Possibly focus is related to the effect that this creates. Like when I first started talking about it, I was like, well, I mean, media is hugely responsible because our examples of like well-written jokes are usually like sarcastic, mean kind of digs. And so the more time we spend focusing on how cutting other people can be to each other, the less time we're going to want to dedicate to spending with other people, because they might do that to us. And we think that we have to be acting like that to be seen as cool or not vulnerable.
Yeah, let me try to repeat that back. What I'm hearing you say is nowadays our way of joking with people has been, or just way of interacting with people has been less friendly. And examples of that is like using cutting jokes, like jokes that, or
It's more like the fear of vulnerability due to our focusing in entertainment, such as, comedy that's mean and the news, always focusing on the dark things, and the social media giving more attention to controversy because that's what people like to argue about. Sorry, I lost track of how I started the sentence, but
fear of vulnerability.
The fear of vulnerability that comes from focusing on negative things, perceived social interactions, even if they're fictional or in this sort of hyper reality of social media, makes us reluctant to engage with others in an open manner, which is required for friendliness, out of defensiveness.
Mm-hmm. Got your relationship between vulnerability and our valuing of friendliness. I'm hearing if we are more open to being vulnerable, we're more open to being friendly with people.
Yeah, I would say that. Sort of like the too cool for school attitude is like, if you are vulnerable to, you're flawed. Like, you shouldn't care what other people think. But everybody does, and it's really kind of impossible not to care when somebody's being mean to you. Like nobody wants somebody to be abusive towards them. And the attitude towards it is like, it's your responsibility not to care about what other people say or do to you, is really harmful, I think. Because it makes you feel like, well, I can't be open because that's vulnerable. And if I'm vulnerable and get hurt, then people are going to say I'm weak.
Okay, so maybe let's try this. The value of friendliness depends on our ability to be vulnerable.
Our acceptance that vulnerability is not a flaw.
The value of friendliness depends on our acceptance that vulnerability is not a flaw. And our acceptance that vulnerability is not a flaw has increased or decreased over the years?
Decreased greatly.
Has decreased greatly in the past 20 years. Great. All right, I think we've got two main reasons now: meeting our needs and our acceptance that vulnerability is not a flaw. Which of these should weigh more for being at that level of confidence? Or they're the same? Or...
I suppose it would depend on the person that we're discussing. Everybody has their own mix of reasons for doing things or not doing them. And I think it's a little bit individual which one weighs more, because a lot of people are very risk averse, and a lot of people are, not. So it's kind of like you've got the people who are not going to care about the risk of seeming vulnerable. but they are going to care that it's a lot of effort. So why would they bother going out and being friendly if their needs for not having boredom are already met?
Mm-hmm.
And just the opposite can be true for another individual.
Let's say we had like logical data, like population level statistical data about the level of our ability to meet needs, acceptance that vulnerability is not a flaw. If there were studies demonstrated this, the level of that changing over the years, say we had that and we connected those to our reasons, which one now should weigh differently?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm such a skeptic. My first question is, what was your methodology?
Assuming we can get that and that's even measurable in any reliable way.
Let's see. I would say friendliness. I would say probably friendliness is more about the vulnerability side of things than it is about the meeting needs things, because friends is the needs part that I would say. Achievable without the friendliness. Like, you can have friends even if you're not a friendly person, because people just end up friends on accident. A lot of times making good friendships takes effort. So you just fall into friendships.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say probably the acceptance that vulnerability is not a flaw would weigh more, at least for me, based on my observations.
Okay, and I just got this little last ago, and I haven't had the chance yet.
Okay.
I've been wanting to play with it. So now I have these weights here.
Okay.
These are magnetic, these aren't. You can put whatever you think the amount should be, like pick a color for each reason, and you can put the amount of weight you think each one has, and then you can like weigh them. This is pro side, this is con side. Right now we're just pro side right now. So what color should this one be? What's a good?
Meets a need. I'm gonna go with the dark color for that one, because it feels sort of cynical to me that friendliness is about meeting your needs.
Mm-hmm.
True, but cynical.
And it'll be on the right side for pro. This is against the, like, no, and this is yes. So pro, against. Green is pro, and red is against. So right on the right side, yeah.
Okay, so what am I?
Yeah, we're trying to weigh these reasons.
Okay.
And we have up to 5 to weigh them. Are these like 5 out of 5 in terms of the weight of reasons, or is it a 1 out of 5 in terms of weight of reasons? Or in the middle?
So is this about my confidence, or about how much I think it factors into our main?
How much it
claim?
factors in a reason to get you to that level of confidence.
Okay.
You know, if you have strong, weighty reasons, that implies you should be more confident about it. That's the assumption I'm going with.
Okay. Say maybe I'm at like a 3 for pro on meets needs.
Okay. And you can put the 3 magnetic ones here just to keep track.
Got it. Okay.
Perfect. Wow, this is awesome. And then what's another color for this one?
Okay, so let's go with yellow to do cheerful.
Sweet. And that's 4.
Give myself some wiggle room in case my mind changes or gets even stronger, or, you know.
Cool. Amazing. I love it. I love this visual. All right. And we've talked for a while, and we've thought of reasons. We've weighed some reasons. We could keep going and talk about how we could tell how much we should weigh each reason. What are some like reasons against this potentially? But maybe we'll like take a pause and maybe if you want to come back next week or some other time, we can pick it up. This is great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Lindsay, is that right?
Yes, Lindsay.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Appreciate it.
All right. Have a
Thank you
great
so
day.
much. You too. Great. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Do you two want to go? Y'all been talking, right?
No, no, I'm good.
You're good.
I get a very like stage fright type of thing. So, you saved what? I saved the stream, so you can rewatch it later if you want.
Share with your friends and be like,
Judge my posture, mostly.
Yeah.
No.
So the only time that I've sent videos to friends, one of them was like, "Oh, she's pretty bad, man." She really liked it. But, fuck you. So I wasn't like listening to the whole conversation, but you're talking about friendliness and sort of like declining value. Stuff like that.
I think we kind of figured out the thrust of the argument, which we didn't get much further than that, but I liked that we were able to boil it down to a couple of theses and a claim.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check it out later.
Yeah, and it's the first time I've actually used the weight and everything. Loved it.
Oh, you guys did this thing.
Yeah.
Neat. How'd you like that?
It was weird because I'm not used to quantifying my thoughts quite that way.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the weird part about it. Yeah. That's our worry,
Yeah.
honestly.
Worry?
Yeah.
Why is that a worry?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes people might feel like they're being pigeonholed into a corner, putting
Potentially.
a defined weight value to every side of their argument. So there's all these different colors to see how to.
Actually,
Yeah,
I
it's
could
like-
totally see people being uncomfortable with that concept.
Yeah.
The point is how much should we give the weight and what we use to change the weight? What would mean if it had no weight at all?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
honestly, like one of the I think things you guys got going for you, I don't know what the exact word is for it, is that you don't communicate in a way that makes it come across as an attack.
Oh,
Which
right. Yeah.
I know can be a huge. I'm so sorry. I have clean disposable ones in the car if you need one later.
That's clean.
Oh yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah. You can test my claim on that.
I will say that I think that if I had more Post-its up there, I would have found the weight thing easier to understand why we were doing it.
Mhm.
So I only had the two, and they were kind of equally important to my argument.
Mhm.
If I had all of the colors to use, then I would have probably been this is the least important. This is the next.
Yeah.
I think that
Cool.
so maybe 3 Post-its next time would be my
3.
suggestion.
Gotcha.
Excuse me.
And ideally, one on the opposite side too to help.
Got it.
Maybe it's there's only one. It's a one-weighted reason against it, maybe, or maybe there's a 5. Who knows?
Maybe
And then
doing because the constraint is time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe doing one reason for each side and then letting them choose the weight of that reason
Mm-hmm.
would
Yeah,
just be the
yeah.
parenthetical version of this, or the abbreviated version.
I think I probably chose a difficult topic to come up with a counter measure for because
Yeah.
it's not something a ton of people would disagree with.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking, I was thinking about Twitter
Mm,
and how snarky, sarcastic, very biting 20 word things are they spread like viruses on Twitter, you know.
mm.
To the point where I hear them in real life too. If there's something that's going on.
We're infecting ourselves with unhappiness, people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the upshot is I think that the lockdowns are actually going to have an effect that's positive on this particular topic. I think that people are going to feel so isolated now that it was forced upon them, and that they've caught up on all of the backlog of TV shows that they wanted, that they're going to be no, let's go out and be friendly again.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have an incline in
Mm-hmm.
people wanting to come out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at you guys joining a meetup group.
I could have caught up on the reading I wanted last year. time mostly on YouTube and social media.
Same.
I know.
Same here.
Yeah. If you play that game, you always lose. You'll always find you should have spent your time.
Oh yeah. No, I have a friend that said if I had spent more time or all of the time on skills that I spent on video games, I would be such a master of things. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'd be like an expert guitarist.
Yeah,
I would speak several languages, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna go into that. I'm not even gonna think about that. That's gonna
Instead,
make me
I just
sad.
have a smile and very dexterous thumbs.
I'd love to see his World of Warcraft profile. Though.
Right,
Sure,
right.
it's very beefy.
Well, I think right now he's on Final Fantasy 14, so.
Yeah, that's a grind too.
But no, I think he was on WoW, but whatever. It was a long time ago.
So you guys are welcome to like stick around and get to see somebody else doing this too.
We're probably pretty thirsty.
Yeah, no, I need water badly.
Because we walked up and down the hill a bunch of times while you guys were setting up. So, and we were like,
These may be hot, but you can have these if you want.
oh, thank you.
That's so awesome.
Thank you for coming here.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, thank you.
I hope you guys have many interesting conversations today.
Thank you. And we'll try to be back next Sunday.
Good to
Yeah,
know.
do this hike again. Look out for us. Sundays, same time.
And I may be in different places, so keep an eye on the meetup.
All right, we'll do.
Great.
Yeah. So it was Lindsay and I'm sorry.
Christina. No, it's
Christina.
totally
I was
fine.
gonna say Christina.
It's okay, that happens all the time. Like, all the time.
Jacob and Reed.
Jacob and Reed. Awesome.
Nice to meet you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. have a
Okay,
good
we'll
day.
see you next time maybe then.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Okay.
Have a great day. Nice.
Yeah.
Did not expect that to happen.
Yeah, the meetup group actually like coming through.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome.
Totally. I mean, I only found this because you posted the meetup link on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter.
But yeah, that's cool though.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll leave a review or something like that. Is that a thing on Meetup?
I think there is a way.
Everything's got reviews nowadays.
Yeah. I think Quinn is on his way too. I
Awesome.
didn't bring my extra puzzle pieces. They were in Dolly's backpack.
Darn.
So maybe he can meet me at my place afterwards, maybe. I can give him some. If not, whatever. I'll give them to him next time.
Okay.
Because I want him to go out, and I think he's been wanting to go out and do more around wherever he lives.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he's really good.
I noticed this wasn't pairing. Is there like
Oh,
a
I need to
pairing
turn
mode
it
to
on.
put it in?
Damn.
Okay.
Forgot to turn on.
Just for the next thing.
Yeah. It's difficult to like write down the reasons as well while I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stay listening.
Yeah. But I definitely see how useful it would be to get people to see concretely the name of the issue at hand and the reasons for and against their stance on the issue.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, hello. Because often you just don't think about it so systematically.
And it's mainly about the broad comparison rather than specific amounts.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah. I like it though.
Yeah, I guess the worry with the weights is that when people see it and realize that you're asking them to assign weights to their reasons and compare them, that they're worried they're walking into a trap and that somehow
Yeah,
the weights are going to be not in their favor and you're going to say, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't want that. I put 3 topics on the board. I need 1 more.
Was 9/11 an inside job? Should Gavin Newsom be recalled? Does anything supernatural exist? Could do like is God the creator of the universe?
I think the
Or-
supernatural, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something about vaccines on there.
Ideally, yeah, maybe something political.
I've still got only one puzzle piece myself.
Right. We could continue something.
I'm really pining for those other two.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you remember where we've left off before?
We were talking about falsification.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
We could look at the page that we made for the claim on that one website, where it shows all the reasons.
Oh yeah, did we make a Miro or a Chialo?
What was the first one called?
Miro?
I think it was the second one.
M-I-R-O. It was the Chialo.
I think so.
There's a Chialo discussion that I made on the homepage,
Oh, cool.
but I tried to remove myself from it because it gets so big. I'm like, I can't keep up with these notifications.
Right, every time they add a different thing, it gives you notification.
It's the all humans should be vegan
Oh, I'm seeing it right here, yeah. It's got
discussion.
2,500 comments.
Wow. And it stayed that original claim phrasing.
That's cool.
Here we go.
Wow, look at this topology map.
It's huge.
Wow. Is that camera the one? I'm just going to show the
on
stream.
my phone, yeah.
Every one of those little green bars and red bars are different arguments and sub-arguments. I'm just going to open one of them right here. A number of essential vitamins
Hi.
are
Any
extremely...
opinions on any of that? Cool.
A number of essential vitamins are extremely difficult to obtain through a strictly vegan diet.
Is that a top level one or something in the middle?
That's like on level 4.
Okay, I'm about to say.
We evolved smaller jaws and saliva to break down starches to eat plants. Yeah, they're really getting into the nitty-gritty here.
Mm-hmm. What is the overall weight right now, one or the other side? Is there a way to, like,
I don't know where I can see
it's
that.
like it should be in that graph. Like the center one should be able to tell.
Oh, can I
That's
click on
kind
the
of like
center
a pie
thing?
chart almost, which has more.
I think that there's more on the green. And the green
That's
is...
the pro side, that it is more likely that all humans should be vegan.
Yeah, I think the green is the pro-vegan.
It's winning right now.
Does the area or like the number of, degrees that each of the little pies get, is that size determined by
It's
how
depending
many?
on the weight, yeah.
The weight. And is that like the number
Alright.
of sub-arguments?
Doing some interviews today, if you have time later, maybe.
Like if something is really uncomfortable between you and me, you're sweating, I'm like coughing, there's a lot of friction. Traction is like I can really grip, tired of grip. Like,
Interesting that you phrased it, all humans should be vegan.
Yeah.
Because that should is just making it like a morality thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the reasons that they're going into here are about like, not strictly morality, but like practical stuff. But I guess that's where morality comes from. A world of veganism would be a more ethical world. Its morals would bring benefits to human society.
Cool.
Argument against that, the morals would not be justified if it comes at a cost or conflict with other important or grander values. Yes, please, and thank you. What's up, y'all? Which hike are you doing?
Huh?
Which loop are you doing today?
The normal one, not the one with the rocks and all that.
No, yeah. Don't have time for that one. On your way back, stop by and we'll have a little chat if you want.
No, just walk. Up to the flag.
So on the con side, there are stringent rules and radical changes associated with veganism that are too difficult for the average person to easily incorporate into their lives. So should its difficulty be considered in if we should or shouldn't?
Difficult for the average person.
Mm-hmm. For some people, they can't afford to be vegan, at least in LA.
I'm sure if you search for money or afford or cost, that would be there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to today. Poker starts at 7, so it's really how long will it take to pack up and get back to my place by 7? Probably wrap it at 6. So another
How far is
2
your
hours.
place from here?
Like 5 minutes. Hollywood and Vine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Hollywood and Vine. That's nice.
Woohoo! Hey, Mark. Lewis, can you show your face? Can you type in your in the private chat what you want to talk about, Lewis? He's behind the scenes right now.
Okay.
And if you want to join the show, feel free to click the link in the description or in the chat. I'll put it in the chat. But I found our Kalo. Do you have a link to it?
I do not.
How can I share this easily?
Hi there. Want to sit down for a quick interview?
No, thank you.
Okay. Have a good hike. Do aliens exist? There's a subject for that one.
There you go.
Got it.
Texted it to you.
Okay. Two reasons for it. Falsifiable claims should not be taken seriously. If a claim is unfalsifiable, wait, I'll wait for you to get caught up. So we said it should not be taken seriously because I think I remember it being a practical consideration. It was like, there are so many claims in the world that if we seriously considered every unfalsifiable claim out there, and I could invent like 10 of them in 10 seconds right now, like, you know, all rabbits are aliens or something like that, we just wouldn't be able to consider all those. So we want to be able to like shave off the cream from the top, or however that analogy was, and only take seriously claims that it can actually be refuted. If a claim is unfalsifiable, then there's no practical difference between a universe in which it is true and one in which it is not.
Right, and we linked practical to something, to the...
To pragmatism.
To pragmatism. To the Persian version of pragmatism.
Okay. I still have to read that article.
Not the William James version.
Okay. So, yeah, I can already think of a. Hello. I can already think of a good counterexample for this one right now.
What up? How's it going?
Hey,
Good, how are
how's it
you?
going,
Wish I
Quinn?
knew you'd be here. I just,
that's alright.
I only brought one for
Aw,
Epic. Thank you.
that's alright.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm definitely out of shape. It took me a bit to walk up there.
I don't know where this is. This must be a while to get to.
Oh, Coffee Bean?
Yeah. Is it down near the Ralphs and stuff?
I don't think so. I don't know. It's like on Hollywood Boulevard, like 5 blocks from here, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. There wasn't any parking around here, so I had to park far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to start working.
By the time you get here, you don't even need to do the hike.
Exactly.
Like, I see people, like, sweating already when they get up here.
Just getting to here is a hike in itself.
Yeah.
How's it been so far?
Good. 2 women met up here because of the meetup, and I chatted with one of them for a while. That was fun.
Like 2 street epistemology people?
They just were on meetup.com, looked things that were today,
Oh, wow.
and they saw I was at this hike, so they came and hiked and then met up with us.
Do you like post something on Meetup before you come here?
I just create the event,
Oh, okay.
and yeah,
Nice.
people can find whatever is today at the.
Yeah, I've never used meetup.com. No clue how it works.
Yeah, me neither, but they made it sound pretty fun, though. I'd love to just go on and find, like, you know, game nights that people are hosting with a $5 cover or something like
Yeah,
that.
that sounds awesome. Or like a ultimate frisbee game or something.
Sure.
I'm sure that's available.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad does this. He's, like, pretty hip with that nowadays.
Meetup.com.
Mm-hmm. He sends me pictures of just, like, random group outings that he goes on with people.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I think Quinn should question you on this claim.
Okay.
Ooh, which claim?
I had 2 conversations with him.
Just one.
Just one.
Well, we did, like, a
We kind of
little
half
chat
one,
about it.
But you should unfalsifiable claims be taken seriously.
Well, I won't say what I think, but
Ah.
I will.
You can switch roles
Okay.
after maybe.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you think eventually.
And I got this. Have you seen this yet? This new
No.
toy.
Wow. A new toy.
Yeah. Here's what I did with Lindsay. We talked about this. Has the value of friendliness decreased in the past 20 years? And you can like add the weight of reasons.
Oh, there's weights. Sick.
You can like they correspond. There's like magnetic versions.
Or some heavier than others.
They all weigh the same, but you
Okay.
add more to like determine how much a reason should weigh, whatever. She added 3 for one reason, 4 for another reason, and you can keep track of it that way. But it's really about the
Come
comparison.
back after your hike and have a chat.
Okay.
We're
That's awesome.
trying this out.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's cool.
toys or no?
We could try it. You can try it with me if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will you make them or am I saying that?
This was my claim.
Okay.
Ed and I did talk about this through Zoom a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Should they be taken seriously? In your opinion?
In my opinion, they should not be taken seriously.
Oh. Okay. So what's an unfalsifiable claim?
So my definition of an unfalsifiable claim is there's no conceivable test that would disprove this were it to be false.
Okay. Any examples?
Yeah, if I said that, like, there's a rabbit behind you and it's always like, it's so fast you can't turn around and see it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got some special fur coat that repels photons and can't be photographed.
Okay.
And it has no heat signature.
No, makes no sound.
And it doesn't poop.
Okay.
And but it's right behind you and I can see it.
There's just no possible test to
Yeah.
determine if the rabbit's there. Okay. that such claims, like there is such a rabbit behind me, shouldn't be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. How confident are you on that claim?
I go with the classic 95.
Okay, just because you should always have some room for doubt or something? Is that the...
Yeah,
Okay.
and we've already talked about a few instances where it would be unwise to 100% commit to this. So one example I can think of is there might be things that are true about the universe, like rabbits that are always behind us.
Mhm.
We just haven't devised the kind of test that would disprove or prove them.
That would make it... That would make it falsifiable, though.
I
Or would
guess
it?
at present not falsifiable, but eventually falsifiable.
Okay, so we could call claims that at the moment, like, okay, let's see, what's a good example?
Let me tell you something I was just thinking.
Okay.
So, I actually had a cool talk with my mom about this after she watched a video that Reed and I did. And the example we used was how the model of the atom has evolved over the last century.
Mhm.
They thought that everything, things are solid, so atoms must be solid, and they called it plum pudding.
Mm.
So if you zoomed in close enough, everything would just be shoulder to shoulder, sort of like how we see cells under a microscope today.
Okay.
But that would be the most indivisible atom in the universe. And but there was no way of testing this because nobody had thought of one yet. And so people said, what's the point if they're plum pudding or anything else? It's never going to matter.
Right.
And then somebody came along and said, well, if you could get a sheet of, paper basically that was only one atom thick, there would be holes in it.
Mm.
If it was not plum pudding.
Right.
But if everything really was shoulder to shoulder, it would be, totally reflective.
Yeah.
So he took gold and pounded it until it was one atom thick.
Someone actually did this?
Yeah, Rutherford.
What happened? Did that work?
And then he shot neutrons at it, or photons or something, or electrons. Or
Photons,
something.
maybe. Yeah.
Some of them bounced off of it, but others went straight through it and kind of scattered in random directions, suggesting that there's empty space in the atom. So before he devised this experiment, it was irrelevant whether atoms were plum pudding or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he has an experiment, it suddenly became a falsifiable claim from unfalsifiable.
Right. So that we could say then that unfalsifiable claims can become falsifiable claims. Like there's a time constraint on an unfalsifiable claim. Just saying that it's unfalsifiable doesn't mean that it's going to be that way forever.
Yeah.
Is there any such claim, in your opinion, that breaks this model, like a rabbit behind me that's invisible and all that kind of stuff?
Do you mean something that I can say for certain will always be unfalsifiable?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I think that there are claims that are engineered to be unfalsifiable and stay that way.
Okay. Like what?
Usually, like religious beliefs kind of have that hermetic seal quality where they're totally impervious because there always is some addendum belief that's
Right.
like, the rabbit is reflects photons or it doesn't produce a heat signature.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you can engineer beliefs and there are claims like that, yeah.
You can engineer something that will forever be unfalsifiable.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But then other claims that are more like by their nature about the world, like a belief that aliens exist, that might be unfalsifiable now, but on Star Trek they just do like a bioscan of a planet and in 2 seconds they know if...
Because we don't have bioscan technology, the claim is unfalsifiable now.
But we may have that technology someday.
Okay.
So it'll probably become more falsifiable at that point.
Okay. So, like, let's take that claim then, that aliens exist. Maybe not here, but elsewhere.
Okay.
Should that claim be taken seriously at the moment?
So according to my post-it note, unfalsifiable claims should not be taken seriously because of the conspiratorial nature and like the fact that every time you can debunk one instance that people thought this was aliens in the sky in a photograph and a video, you can debunk one of those, but they'll always point somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So the claim that I put on that post-it note is that no, those kinds of things should not be taken seriously.
The claim that
Oh, but you said not here though, just anywhere in the universe, as far as aliens go.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess would you consider that particular claim, to be unfalsifiable at the moment?
The claim that there are aliens out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any experiment that would, with like 99% confidence, the result of this experiment could be, turns out there's no aliens anywhere. Like, it'd be very hard to just immediately know that.
Right. Okay, so we can test to see if there are aliens, but you're saying we can't test to see if there aren't aliens anywhere.
Right. And the claim that there could be aliens anywhere is like, they have all of the chips on their side of the table when they make that claim. Because even if you discover that the phosphine gas on Venus was due to some abiotic property, well, there could still be ancient fossils of life on Mars. But even if those turned out just to be, there's no life in that water, there's other galaxies out there.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So that claim, the positive claim, should be taken seriously, that there is life somewhere. Even though, yeah, like you said, the person who makes that claim has all the chips on their side of the table. But the negative claim shouldn't be, which is that there is no alien life anywhere. And you're saying it shouldn't be taken seriously until we get some bioscan of the universe or something like that?
So let me make sure that I'm understanding your question. My position is that if a person says something like, I'm 100% sure there's aliens somewhere.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt about this. And then I said, well, how can you be so sure? And it turned out that this person was using some kind of conspiratorial thinking, and that this was really the kind of claim that was engineered to be unfalsifiable. That kind of claim shouldn't be taken seriously.
Okay, so that there can be a version of the positive claim about alien life that is unfalsifiable. Something like something like the version of the rabbit thing that you just said about an invisible not pooping rabbit. You could make something similar about an alien. Okay. And again, it's only not taken seriously at the moment because we have no way of seeing if it's the truth or not. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Is there anything that could knock you down off your 95% confidence?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Maybe that 5% is too small. Because I was just realizing, if we didn't take claims like this seriously, we probably wouldn't have devised as many experimental measures as we have today.
That's a good point, yeah.
Like, it was Rutherford who was like, could y'all shut up about plum pudding? I'm going to invent 1 atom thick gold foil. And, maybe somebody's going to be like, could you shut up about invisible rabbits? I'm going to invent something that can detect an object with no heat signature that reflects all photons or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it keeps happening. Before, I guess, at some point, some sort of conception of God was something that lived in the clouds, right? And then we finally got above the clouds, and then it keeps moving into some further and further invisible, intangible realm. But that movement is sort of maybe something that inspires us to examine those places that people keep thinking we can't examine.
Yeah. So maybe there is value in engaging with those types of claims. Because we'll just find new ways to learn about the universe that we didn't think to analyze before.
So where would you put your confidence, you think? Maybe just 90?
Well, when you phrase it that they shouldn't be taken seriously...
Yeah, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah. Like, if I was to give you odds about how true I think something is, then those claims that are engineered to be unfalsifiable, I'd probably give you, like, really bad odds those would be real. But if you phrase it as should they be taken seriously, maybe there is merit in, like, engaging with somebody who has these beliefs for their sake, or for the sake of, like, looking at the universe in a way it hasn't been looked at before.
Yeah. So if we think of taken seriously as meaning you should have a higher percent, or you should more likely think that it's true, then it's still very, you probably shouldn't take it very seriously, but in the sense that, like, it inspires you, or it inspires someone to examine such a claim.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they should be taken a bit more seriously.
I just thought of a great counterexample for me. Flat earthers.
Okay.
So this is a claim that is 100% falsifiable, that the earth is flat. You can think of many reliable tests that would either confirm or disconfirm that claim. But somehow they still managed to engineer this conspiratorial web of beliefs that becomes its own cohesive little airtight bubble.
Right.
And every time you introduce some kind of counterclaim, they're slippery enough to escape it. But, in my opinion, it is very worth engaging with those people. So we should take that claim seriously. If not for their sake, at least for its own, like, epistemological exploration.
Right.
To see what kind of thinking leads somebody to that.
Yeah.
belief.
Like, and again, it's weird. It's like, it shouldn't be taken serious. Like, you shouldn't take the claim seriously, maybe.
Oh, I see. So there's an ambiguity in take it seriously. Like, should I
Yeah.
take this seriously as this might be true?
Right.
Or should I take this seriously as, is this worth talking about?
Yeah. And I guess I'm curious too on the subject of flat earthers. Do you think that, because I mean, you've already said that you should take it seriously because it's worth maybe changing their mind or spreading more sound information throughout the community. But do you think that their claims, that you should really take their claims seriously? Is there any merit in that?
For that particular claim, I feel like I've seen enough evidence that, barring some future discovery, some insight that we don't have right now, I don't take it seriously as a truth claim about the universe.
Right. And you feel like you shouldn't.
Shouldn't how?
I guess in the way that you mean it here, like, it would be not beneficial for you personally to take such a claim seriously, like to really examine it within yourself and put it to scrutiny. Well,
Yeah.
I guess you have in the past, right? That's the only reason why you've come up with, like, counter evidence, or
I don't know if I've ever, like, looked into this with an open mind and
yeah, I guess that's what
and
I'm asking.
with the feeling that I could actually change my mind about it.
Yeah, is that a worthy pursuit?
You know what? I feel like the more I think about this, the more I think it's a matter of terms that I've learned listening to read, which I'm sure I got from well, which is epistemic humility.
Mm.
And I think that if you want to have epistemic humility, which my understanding of that term is the kind of attitude where you're open enough to other people's perspectives and loose enough with your own and willing to let go of your own beliefs about reality. So yeah, I feel like for the sake of epistemic humility, we should take even unfalsifiable claims seriously.
Mm.
So that was actually a pretty big chink in my armor right there.
Wow. Yeah. So okay. So on both, I guess on both versions of that we sort of discussed of what it means to take something seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're changing your mind at the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still going to be above the 50%, I think,
Fair.
that they
Definitely
should
fair.
not be taken seriously. But, maybe I should turn that little 5% that I had into like a 25 or a 30.
Ooh. So you're 75, 70%.
I'm a soft 75 right now. Because, let me tell you all my reasons now. The most important one, there could be experiments that we haven't devised about ways to learn things about the universe. And maybe these people concocting unfalsifiable claims are just more creative than our scientists are.
Mm.
And maybe these creative people are going to get so much like traction with their unfalsifiable beliefs that scientists finally have to say, God damn it, we need to find a way to silence this once and for all. We discovered this new way of experimenting. Let's put it to this test, and they get an unexpected result.
Right. Yeah.
And they discover some particle in particle physics or something.
There's so many possibilities. Maybe NASA really is lying to all of us, and we're all sedated by some maybe we're all sheep in essence, and we're just completely blinded to the truth. Living
That would
in the
be another
Matrix.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bunch of possibilities, but yeah, it's weird. I think I've been just sort of following your thinking in this because when I sat down, I was about 95%. But maybe it is worth it to take the claim seriously. If only for some sort of an exercise in thought. But yeah, did you have any questions for me about this claim? I don't know how I'd answer it really.
Yeah, so with the kind of should I actually open my mind to this, where would you put yourself about unfalsifiable claims?
Well, I'm wondering if...
do you believe that there's merit in opening your mind to actually believing in something even though it's unfalsifiable? That kind of should.
It's weird, the merit thing. It's like when I did believe in God at one point, and I was convinced that his existence was something that was completely beyond our scope of understanding. I guess making it in effect unfalsifiable. I guess I found merit in not only the comfort I was getting, but the confidence I was getting. But as to merit in regards to like truth seeking, only a little bit, in the sense that you were talking about, that like there's humility in that, and it's a sort of creative venture. But I think you should have a high level of skepticism, not a completely closed off level, that maybe just a high one.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's a difference in the kind of skepticism you should have for a falsifiable versus an unfalsifiable claim?
Yes.
Like coming at it from a different angle or something?
Yeah, like a fundamentally different angle. Yeah, probably. I mean,
like if I was telling you that I'm looking right at that rabbit right now, you'd be skeptical in a different way than if I told you that like there's an odd number of Tic Tacs.
Well, if you told me that you were looking at the rabbit and you said you were seeing it, I at least have my trust in you to go on, which isn't much, no offense, just met you, but I at least have that instead of you just saying there is this rabbit behind you, neither of us can see it, etc. But still not much. But I do consider your expression of your seeing it to be some sort of super weak form of evidence.
So my mind just goes to my time as a missionary in Brazil when I was like testifying about God
Wow.
Joseph Smith.
Wow.
And
forgot you were a Mormon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to toot my horn, but I was a good missionary. And I could convince people that Joseph Smith was a prophet and saw God and everybody. And from their perspective, they would have been relying completely on their trust in me as a person. Whereas you said you just met me, you don't know me. They met me and they trusted me immediately with that. Well, after like a few weeks of building rapport or something.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's interesting. Did you ever, as a bit of going off topic, I'm just curious, did you ever like convert anybody?
Like convert how?
Like, did you ever meet someone who wasn't a Mormon, and then after spending time with them, they would consider themselves Mormon?
Yeah, there's people who, when I announced my departure from the church, like 3 years after coming home from Brazil, they were devastated because they had, 180'd their entire lives based on what I taught them when I was there.
That's so crazy.
And now I've just said, I was mistaken about what things I told you, and I hope that, I told you the information because I wanted you to be happy the way I was happy. And I'm still happy. I was just using bad information. And if you feel happy living this life that you have, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made the first time and try to change your mind about how to live your life. So now I come to you not as a missionary trying to change you to atheism or ex-Mormon or anti-Mormon, but I'm just going to be your friend, and you can continue living the life that we lived together when I was there.
Did any of them choose to try to understand why you're an ex-Mormon?
Yeah, a couple of the younger people did.
Okay. Were you willing to engage in that conversation?
Yeah, when they pursued the information.
Okay, yeah.
I kind of like vaguely alluded to having been misinformed about Joseph Smith when I told them that I was leaving the church. And a few people kind of like, it was a bait, and a few people grabbed the bait, and then I had my little PDF ready, and I said, this is some things that I learned, and I hope that's useful for you.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah. It's a very sticky, like, person-to-person relationship situation to be in. And I still feel conflicted about even, like, my actions as a missionary and my actions after leaving the church and the way I engage with them. I just never know if I'm doing it the right way,
Yeah, since we're off this already,
Okay.
there's a funny thing that happened, I think it was in high school. I don't know, were you familiar with I think it might have been called askamormon.com or something like that?
Is this like a couple teenagers have a YouTube channel or something?
No, it was like a website where you'd go, and it was all about, I think it was like Mormon evangelism disguised in some way. But what it was really was just like you could have like an instant message chat with a Mormon, or you could call them and they would call back and talk to you. And I think in my misguided search for therapy, we started a call with some Mormon people. And we ended up just talking a lot about religion, but then about like my life and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, he was a really unprecedentedly kind person. And yeah, I don't know. I was just curious if you knew about the site.
It does sound like something the Mormons would do.
Right.
And you can talk live with a missionary right now from your phone.
Yeah.
You can like call them or just chat, texting. They have full-time missionaries who do that kind of thing in Salt Lake.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a great way to, I mean, if people want to have that conversation with you, then that resource is really good. I see the billboards on like the 5 driving through California that say like, Jesus is real.
I called one of those once.
I've called them before too. Just because you're driving like through the grapevine or something and you're looking at
You're bored, yeah.
And they put the billboards right there for a reason. I had a like 30-minute conversation with a guy named Pat. It's the only one I remember. And
was it like a debate?
no, well, I told him that I, was agnostically atheist and came from a religious upbringing and just saw a billboard and wondered who I would talk to. he was like totally down to just have that kind of conversation. I got lucky.
Yeah.
He didn't like, try to compel me with the power.
Right. No, I had a similar conversation. It's a whole similar thing, but we had a whole conversation about like the question of evil and the what I saw as a contradiction between God's omnibenevolence or whatever and the existence of hell and suffering and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he just had his own thing about like the fact that God gave us free will is
That's his
the answer
backdoor for responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a whole, it was maybe about an hour conversation, but yeah, I think I understand your claim about that.
Okay.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, I definitely.
We did some traveling.
I feel less confident in my position.
I guess my work as a street epistemologist is
My
done.
work here is done.
Wow, this Zoom is so cool. Hey, does this have like an adapter for more inputs?
More inputs, I think.
Okay. I have this Zoom H6 that has like a left and right speaker thing that normally you just put the mic that they give you and it's like a binaural thing, but they also have an adapter that lets you put just 2 more inputs onto the more. Use it to record videos and stuff.
Sweet. Yeah, it's that Bluetooth adapter that's really magic for me. I used to have a blind cables going over here to try to stream.
Is that little dongle thing sticking up?
Yeah,
That's rad.
but now it's wireless and like no delay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I got another puzzle piece, is what it feels like.
Get another puzzle piece.
Hey yo.
What'd you think about that claim, Reed?
Good discussion, yeah. Yeah, there is a little vagueness in both what unfalsifiable means and what take seriously means.
Yeah. We came up with 2 versions of what taken seriously means. Like, be open-minded to it yourself, but also, like, take it seriously because you want to spread better information. Like, you should take flat Earth claims seriously, if only to, I guess, convince them otherwise.
But then there's even like the chance that you take a claim seriously only for the principle of epistemic humility, and you end up discovering something about the world that you didn't know beforehand, whether it be from like devising an experiment that's never been performed before, or I mean, like, before science knew everything today that it knows, and people just kind of knew what they saw with their own eyes, it was probably really heated arguments that finally led to rigorous experimentation. It was only when people really disagreed about something that somebody thought down and said, how am I going to convince these MFers that they're wrong about this?
Right.
So taking it seriously in that way.
Like, I'm wondering if people thought Galileo's claims were unfalsifiable because we couldn't go out and see the world or something from an outside perspective.
That's a good question. I'd like to get a German Shepherd.
It's a good dog.
Mm-hmm.
Had a German Shepherd Chow mix growing up.
What's a chow?
A Chow?
Is that like little pom-pom dogs?
Yeah, they were like small dogs. So it was an interesting mix. She was like a medium-sized dog with like the color and facial features of a Chow.
Yeah.
The build of a German Shepherd. It was weird.
Wow. Just, I don't understand how a German Shepherd and a Chow.
Mix. Yeah. I don't want to picture it.
Life finds a way. For my public speaking class in my bachelor's, I did a 10-minute long persuasive speech about flat Earth.
For flat Earth?
For flat Earth. Yeah. Yeah. I got a B minus.
A B minus.
What were your points? Your main reasons?
I think I went with the literal empiricist doctrine that they have, which is you should only believe things that you can see with your eyes. So like, I observe that the horizon is flat, is like the big one.
Table.
Court.
I have problems syncing with my software. It just helps a bit.
Yeah, deals with the hiccups.
Yeah.
Maybe we put a sign on that tree right there,
Yeah.
so that people walking up that way and then down this way would see, like, in big lettering, like.
Yeah. I want one of those, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like something you can put just nearby and people can see it from one direction and the other direction.
Like they have outside of coffee shops.
Yeah.
Like a chalk something. Like
Yeah.
a chalkboard.
That'd be nice.
Tent.
It's just, yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's a sign on one side and then a sign on the other side.
Yeah, an A-frame or something.
The A-frame type thing.
Yeah.
But, and I have room for one more topic. I need, what do you think should happen? Probably not this one. It's probably
Yeah.
throw people off.
You could probably make an A-frame if you didn't want to like find something all official, because it's just two boards, and a hinge at the top.
Yeah.
Get those dollars.
Right.
Hi. Hello.
You ever done this trail?
Did it once.
It's kind of tough, huh?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's sunny. What's up? Yeah. Curse them. I think I did not the longest one, but the second to the longest one.
I don't even know which one I did. It was mostly concrete and it shot me up at like the top.
Yeah.
And I had to walk all the way back
What's
down.
up? Want to sit down for a quick interview? All right. Have a good one. Hello. Want to sit down in the shade for a quick interview?
Sounds great.
Yeah, maybe when you're done. Yeah, I think if I hit that shade angle, that might like grab them a little more. Especially if they just walked from their car.
Yeah, the shade and the free water too. What happened to that?
Oh. It's no water bucket.
Didn't get the water today.
Yeah. You're slipping, Reed.
You thinking about staying here till 6 or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a hike up in like San Luis Obispo.
I love it up there.
It's so shady and nice in those trees.
Yeah, I've never been on a hike up there, but it's just beautiful.
Yeah. And it made me realize that this hike is like really shitty.
It's like, isn't that great? It's
I don't
not,
know
it
why
doesn't
so
feel
many
like
people.
a hike, you know?
I think it's only popular because it's in the middle of Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up? How was your hike?
It was nice.
Yeah?
How are you guys?
We're doing great. We're doing our thing over here. Want to check it out?
What?
Want to check it out?
I'm curious.
Yeah, so this is called Cordial Curiosity. And I don't have my mask on, but I can put it on. So basically this is a technique of interviewing people that respectfully probes your beliefs about the world. So you might have a claim about, I think karma is real. I really believe in horoscopes, I believe in God, or astrology, or, you know,
Closest right now was 9/11 inside job. Should be having news in your call. Maybe you have strong feelings about vaccines, abortion, anything. Okay. Our job is to be respectful and sort of open to why you believe this, how you came to that belief, and if it makes well, how do you?
So we come to you with a certain pattern of belief.
Yeah, this is kind of your topic. Your
It's a podcast or it's a...
Yeah, we're live on Twitch right now and YouTube.
Ah.
And then the good conversations get reposted on YouTube, so we can sort of look at them again. Anything comes to your mind?
Yeah.
You want to sit down?
Sure.
Nice and shady. Do you want to take this one?
Go.
Okay. You mind if I leave my mask on?
Yeah, I'm going to put mine on too.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
My name is Jacob, by the way.
Hey, I am. Let's go with Thatch.
Fetch.
Thatch.
With a TH.
Yes.
Fetch. Nice to meet you. You're
Nice
welcome
to
to
meet
wear
you.
this if you'd like.
Sure.
Sort of helps you hear better and zone in.
Ah. Very cool.
Yeah. Which trail did you guys do?
I don't know, just the paved trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've done that one before.
Yeah. Go up and around to the top and then come all the way back down.
Okay.
So nothing too crazy.
Yeah. For me, this trail is very sunny, which,
Yes.
you know, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a little challenging in the heat.
Yeah. Good for a sweat. So what are you thinking about?
So, I guess posing a system of belief. I believe that the DARE program, was one of the worst educational moments in public school.
Okay. DARE. Do you remember what DARE stands for?
Drug Abuse Resistance Education.
I never even knew that. And they did DARE at my school like 100%. So help me put this into like a sentence. You know, DARE is
a simple sentence.
Please. It's a small post-it note.
DARE doesn't work.
Okay. This is our jumping off point. You can see next to your post-it, you've got a little meter that goes from nothing to all, and a needle you can slide from one way to the other. How sure are you that DARE doesn't work?
Let's go. This is full, right?
Yes. It's like a 75 about.
Well, let's go a little higher than
Okay. So we're looking at like 80, 90?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Okay. So why don't you help me define what it means that it doesn't work?
Simply, or are we in conversation here?
We're in conversation, so
Okay.
go full elaboration.
I think DARE does a great job of scaring people out that there can definitely be a much more integrative approach to understanding the world around us. Instead of demonizing things, allowing a further understanding of things, so that we can be more mindful in the way that we're kind of having these conversations and approaching our lives, because these things are going to be around. It's just a matter of how you interact with them is really important. And not to mention that once, a lot of things are referred to as gateway substances and whatnot, but as human beings, we're very curious creatures, and if that gateway is crossed at that point and we find that there is a lack of integrity in that messaging, then that kind of brings up a lot of other questions as to what else is harmful or not, or what have they been lying to us about, and how do we explore that a little bit further. So instead of having like a responsible take on substance use, we have demonized it and created fear around it.
Right.
So
let me see if I'm like on the same page as you. So Dare is, the MO is sort of like scaring kids into just staying away from drugs altogether, demonizing, as you put it. And because drugs exist in the world and are kind of like an inevitable part of adult life at some point for your friends or a friend of your friend, people will be exposed to drugs, and once they realize that, say, marijuana, for example, isn't as deadly as heroin, although Dare would have led you to believe it was, this young adult would think, oh my God, Dare was wrong about weed, what else were they wrong about? Let's do the next thing.
Sure. And not to mention, now the fact that in California we're looking at almost a complete legalization of marijuana, and that's mixed messaging. We grew up saying that this is bad, this is wrong, and now we're experiencing something completely different. And so looking at kind of more of a bureaucratic approach to the way that we look at the world around us, we're now seeing kind of the opposite of that. There's more of an acceptance, a movement in that direction to say, hey, these things are not as bad as you have made it out to be.
Yeah.
And this can actually help to benefit society in some way or another.
Yeah. So I noticed that we're kind of on this, we're kind of talking about these in sort of philosophical terms of like, it's wrong to demonize something, we should take a more realistic approach, prepare kids for the real world. What if I took the conversation in the direction of like looking at statistics about drug use?
Sure.
For, let's say that we have like a school district, this is hypothetical, I don't have any stats on me right now. One school district uses Dare, the other doesn't. What kind of results would you expect after doing a little study of these schools that would affirm for you that Dare doesn't work?
Well, I think you bring up an interesting point, though, too, is that the lack of education, period, is going to kind of create a completely different environment. And exposure to something and without any kind of understanding of what it is you're dealing with, I think is not going to be the best way to do it. I'm simply suggesting that there is another alternative than a fear-based education.
Okay.
So would you mind repeating your question?
Yeah. And that's okay to like go back and add a little caveat too. We like the direction wherever you want to go.
Okay.
So let's say that we had a school district using Dare, another that wasn't. My question is, if you were correct that Dare doesn't work, and looked at the kids who graduated from these high schools that used Dare and high schools that didn't, what kind of outcomes would you expect for the kids that use Dare that would affirm that Dare doesn't work?
That's a tough hypothetical.
That might have been too convoluted, wasn't
it? No, the question was not convoluted. But I mean, I can only base it off of my own experiences as well, right? So, if you're, let's say hypothetically you do grow up in a school that has a DARE program, and the community around you is fairly kind of conservative in that viewpoint, then chances of exploration in that kind of direction are fairly mild,
Mhm.
I would guess. And then let's say you went to college or university in a town that wasn't as
Mhm.
conservative, was a little bit more liberally mindseted, not politically, but liberally mindset the in that world of substance use and whatnot. Then I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think that it would become, there's a potential for any infinite number of possibilities.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, personally, in my own experience of things, I have definitely grappled with the moralistic side of like exploration, but
Mhm.
also understanding that like, okay, if I want to do this, I'm going to do it,
Mhm.
and then coming out the other side and being like, okay, now let's reevaluate that and see kind of like what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make a blanket statement about that because every single person has an individual experience.
Yeah.
But based on my own experience, I don't know how much. I think Dare created more instead of like a really education of what I was experiencing.
Okay.
Does that kind of answer your question?
No, yeah, I think I see what you're getting at. Let me give you like an example of some concrete terms that we could talk about that would sort of like take that conversation in that way. Like say for example that a kid who grew up in the DARE program grew up and became addicted to like substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, not fun drugs, the kind of drugs that you get on the street and then you end up like in really poor health,
Sure.
addicted, you know, just like ruining your life. So that would be an example of a negative outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And from what you're saying, this could be attributed to the fact that DARE failed to prepare this kid to use drugs maybe in a responsible way instead of just demonizing and hiding the truth of what drugs are really like. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying. I think that gets into some other weird territory too. I mean, this isn't a simple conversation by any
Mhm.
means. I think that, you know, there's, as we see opioids, there's a lot of responsible, quote unquote, usage of certain kinds of substances and whatnot that have led to extreme addiction.
Mhm.
And so does DARE affect that one way or the other? I'm not sure, but I think having some kind of trust in an authority figure that allows for these kinds of things, like who's to say, so heroin is illegal, but OxyContin is not, right? So I think having a greater understanding of how addictive substances works
Mhm.
On our psyche and on our physical body is important.
Mhm. And you think that's missing from the DARE program or programs like it?
I think that the DARE program focuses primarily on these things are illegal. You should be afraid of them. They will destroy your life.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of like being able to link between heroin usage and becoming, one is medically prescribed, the other is not. The other is a street drug. So how do we kind of tackle a lot of that too? I mean, now it's being shown that like MDMA is now what a substance Schedule 2 drug, Schedule 1 drug, which is opening up to scientific research. I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here.
MDMA is it, what are the other terms for that?
Ecstasy, Molly,
Okay.
those kinds of things, and they're actually being shown to have, according to MAPS, MAPS, which is an organization that has been pushing for decriminalization of a lot of like psychedelic substances specifically.
Mm-hmm.
They've been able to kind of like drop some of these substances down into Schedule 2 drugs, which is allowing them to be scientifically studied.
Mm-hmm.
And they're finding that it actually has some pretty significant effects on PTSD, depression, these kinds of psychological struggles, illnesses. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about harmful substances, that definitely should be addressed. But I think that it definitely goes into a number of different avenues,
yeah.
specifically in the medical community as well.
So you're saying that not only are programs like DARE sort of like scaring kids in a way that doesn't even successfully deter them from negative outcomes of drugs in the future, but also it's scaring them away from drugs that could have positive outcomes. In the example of MDMA use for therapy with PTSD,
Gotta be careful about the way we talk about this stuff too, because it's not like I'm suggesting that you just go out and fucking pop a couple pills and like everything is going to be solved, right?
But
So
certainly what you're saying, just so I understand, a program like DARE certainly doesn't help our societal perspective about drugs as a whole.
Yes.
And, you know, getting it changed from class 1 to class 2, like you said, or schedule 1, that takes political force, which takes societal pressure, and programs like DARE affect societal view of things. Just so I'm caught up, is that what you're saying about the negative outcomes?
Ultimately, I think it's shutting off the conversation due to legal circumstances, and therefore making things really complicated.
Okay. Can you think of anything that could potentially move your needle a little bit my way, and not my way as in I have the opposite stance, but in my direction, physically? For example, a positive outcome that DARE could have, or a way in which it's better than nothing, perhaps?
A way that it's better than nothing? Absolutely. I think...
like, why is it not 100% already? Maybe that's another way to ask that question.
Because I think the conversation needs to be had, ultimately. I think that just like any other aspects of being human, I think that we are trying to understand and protect our people, right? And like, how do we protect somebody from something is you educate them. And so I think that the premise of like utilizing DARE as an educational tool, at its core, like I understand they're trying to do the best thing for young students and people and kids and whatnot. I'm just suggesting that there may be an alternative way of kind of having those conversations. So yeah, that's why I'm not throwing it at like 100%, because I think that like we as humanity need to have these conversations. I think that exposure, whether or not, you know, somebody doesn't know about marijuana and all of a sudden they're being told that marijuana is bad, does that make them want to do marijuana? Like that kind of comes into some interesting territories as well. But I think that exposure is important, personally, because, you know, you want to be aware of what is out there and how it can affect you.
All right. Thanks, Dutch. I feel like I understand your perspective on this.
Great. Well, thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, totally. This is Street Epistemology, and this specifically is a YouTube channel called Cordial Curiosity. We're out here on Sunday afternoons about this time pretty often. I also go to like Echo Park, other places. But if you'd like to have a follow-up conversation and this has been on your mind and you said, oh, I forgot to mention this and that, you can take a call, find us out here, and we'd love to chat again.
Cool. Appreciate you guys taking some time and doing this.
Yeah.
That was cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. A little hike, a little physical stimulation, then a little mental stimulation.
Yes.
Take a stress ball puzzle piece if you want.
Oh, fun. Street epistemology. Epistemology is just what the...
The methodology of asking questions?
Yes.
Is that it?
I think it's like the philosophy of knowledge and how you know what you know.
Sure.
So we like to ask people, how are you so sure of what you're so sure about?
Yeah. What do you normally come to? So, like, nobody knows anything?
People are very confident about their beliefs that have particular quality reasons that are testable.
How did,
I want to play.
do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you sit down? Do you want to sit down with Quinn here?
Sure.
How did I do?
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Quinn.
Hey, Quinn.
Nice
I'm
to meet
Geri.
you. Geri, cool name.
Thank you.
Did you have anything on your mind to talk about?
Yeah, I was thinking on sort of a similar scope of the failure of sex education in schools.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I haven't ever done this before, but I guess I should kind of do what he did.
It's so official when it's on a post-it.
Exactly. Yeah. If you had to put your claim into a simple sentence, what would it be?
Yeah, a simple sentence. I can distill this further, but I suppose our approach to sex education fails to fully support and encompass the totality of...
It's tough.
Yes, I know. I know. That's why I'm like, let me figure out. Is a failure, I think.
Our approach to sex ed fails to fully support
the youth.
The youth.
Yeah.
Good. Nice.
Great.
Okay. What is our approach to sex education generally, as you might describe it?
Yeah. So I think it's, and this is a generalization, absolutely, but I think throughout the country it's twofold. Mm-hmm. So there is abstinence-based education, which is nothing. Yeah. I would argue that as we just don't do it.
Right.
It's a sin. I think it's largely based in religious philosophy, beliefs. And then the other side of that is more preventative, so and anatomical. And so truthfully, where I think we lack a lot of education is on emotional intimacy, consent, body autonomy, and actually fostering relationships with other folks, right? So understanding that there's more than just physical contact, and understanding maybe what body parts do and how they fit together, potentially.
And body autonomy is like just the basic concept of your body being your own, right?
Yeah. Yes, you have autonomy, you have control, you have ownership over your own body, and people can't just give, for example, kids, right? When you force kids to give hugs or have physical contact with family members even, or the lack of consent of, are you okay with, are you okay with some physical contact? Does this feel safe? Encouraging that from a young age, which I think has become incredibly problematic and has led to rape culture, toxic masculinity, which are broad terms, and a lot of the problems that we're seeing.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like a pretty, like your idea of what sex ed should be is like a revolutionary approach in regards to what we're doing, right?
I suppose that's true.
I think you said that we should include like emotional intimacy or like just relationship building in regard in tandem with teaching sex ed.
Well, we have a class called Health. I think a lot of people have experienced a class called Health, right? And a lot of it is anatomical based. But the socialization of how we interact with other humans and what consent looks like. Consent is a huge piece of it that I think we don't speak about. Body autonomy is huge and is tangential.
And those two go hand in
hand. Yeah, absolutely. And this idea of, what intimacy looks like on multiple levels.
Not just the physical one.
Yeah. Like I was watching, I'm embarrassed to say, a reality show, but what I thought was my biggest takeaway from it was that we're just lacking this ability to connect emotionally, and that relationships are so physical and based on outward appearance and sort of what sex is, right? And we have a very myopic viewpoint of what sex is. It's penetration.
Great word.
And so to expand this idea can only be helpful. And other countries do a much better job than we do here in the United States, quite frankly.
I'm curious as well where you might put your needle on the flame. How sure are you?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow.
I'm
That's
pretty like
95 type.
Yeah.
Okay. What makes you that confident?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I actually have a podcast all about sex and love and relationships and intimacy, and I bring on a bunch of different guests to talk about it. And through speaking with so many different people and my own personal experience with it,
Yeah.
particularly growing up and thinking that like the Disney relationship,
Fairy
right?
tale,
Fairy
yeah.
being saved, like you need a person in your life. This like you're not complete until you have
Right.
somebody else.
Cinderella story.
Yeah, exactly. Is really detrimental. And the more that I talk to people about preventative strategies for kids and students of like sexual assault and sexual trauma and rape and you know, the Me Too movement and the things that are coming up now, I am thoroughly convinced that it is a foundational issue that we are not addressing young enough.
In the United States in particular?
In particular, I don't have as much understanding of
Right.
you know, in other countries, but I do know in Europe, and I've had experience with some things that I've seen programs in, like bodies aren't covered, you know, like we just see naked bodies and it's not like demonized.
Wait, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
Are you saying that there's like a nudist movement in...
Yes, let me clarify. So there's like sexual education programs that I've seen, particularly in England, that like just showcase all different body types without any kind of sexualization. It's just all body types exist and body okay, right? Like
okay.
I would say largely in the United States, we have this dichotomy of things happen behind closed doors, you know, there's this exciting, you know, horror and sort of Madonna thing for everybody.
Right.
And you're supposed to be prudish sort of outwardly, and then behind closed doors, things happen.
Lady in the streets, freak in the bed. Type.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I guess what I'm kind of getting is that both sex ed and health should be, I guess, maybe one and the same, first of all, and also have more of a psychological approach. I don't know if I'd say that, but you know, considering teaching about consent and body autonomy, and also about building relationships. But then there's also this kind of basic problem in the United States in particular about first having to do with like, there's a lot you said, first having to do with Disney, like the sort of Disney trope of having maybe like one monogamous true love relationship with some prince who's supposed to come sweep you off your feet. And then also right, the concept about like being but oh yeah, so you're this idea that you're supposed to be prudish or cover up in the streets but then be like a freak in bed, you feel like is a toxic sort of, would you say that it's toxic? Or?
I would absolutely say it's toxic, and I would say it's toxic for all genders, not just for female identifying folks. You know, I think in both cases, it's one is the savior, right, who can then have ownership and property over the other, and the other is in waiting, has no autonomy, has no control, and just waiting for the other person to come.
I'm so sorry. Are you talking about men and women here? Okay.
Yeah, but I think it can, you know, I think it also creates such a binary in a world where I think we are exploring outside of the binary. Yeah, it also creates sort of these very man, I'm losing the word.
Niche,
but
narrow.
Yeah, very narrow. That's great. And very narrow idea of the roles in which we can step into, right? And the roles in which we need to follow in order to live a happy life, to be I don't know, to do the American dream essentially, right? Gotcha. To like procreate, to like do the thing, check off the boxes of marriage and babies and get house. And
it's like an oversimplification, and it just creates these really narrow lanes that people are expected to follow or go into. I'm curious about your view in this sort of situation. Like, what does it look like when the kind of not only the kind of education system that you want succeeds or is implemented, but maybe once we change our Disney narrative, all that sort of stuff. What do relationships look like? Are people less prudish in the streets, less freaky in the sheets? Why?
Yeah, I don't think either. I mean, all of those things and more, right? I think in my ideal world, in the world that I'm hoping to be a part of creating, is more open communication, right?
Honesty.
More open communication, honesty, the ability to be able to be who you are and let that, if you have a fetish, right? We're curious about other people. We allow other people to exist in the way that they feel pleasure. But pleasure is not something that it's not something we should feel ashamed about. There's so much shame that we have around sexuality and sex. And so I think alleviating so much of that. I think people are curious, right? Talking about cordial curiosity. They are way more curious and interested in exploring their bodies and what their bodies want to do. And because we have the lack of communication, the lack of the ability to verbalize what we want, because there's so much shame and stigma attached to it, because we only have an anatomical understanding, right? Or this very dichotomy of you're going to go to hell or you're going to go to heaven, right? If you don't do it right. There's so many consequences that prevents us from really being able to explore.
Definitely.
And I think we often operate so much in our heads. We're such in a headspace in the United States, particularly, I would say globally as well, but particularly in the United States. And as we start to get body awareness through this exploration, I just think it will penetrate everything in terms of...
No pun intended.
No pun intended, of course.
I don't want to keep you here forever, but I have a couple more questions that are really on my mind. And it might seem tangential, but I want to know where the limits of this thought of yours are. And mostly in regards to people exploring their sexuality, because it almost sounds like that's maybe the point of, or maybe the goal of where this your particular education style would lead, is to open communication, honesty about sex and your body and all that kind of stuff. Do you think people should be able to just have sex wherever in public?
I think that brings up an interesting consensual conversation. And so, no. I think in the spaces where, sex parties, stuff like that, where it is consensual, that people have consented that this is a room where sex can happen, sex acts can happen, absolutely. But no, because I think other people are not consenting
to seeing that.
Okay. And that is also a really big part of it, right? They have the choice to not have to see something like that. And so, no.
No, okay. Should people be able to be nude whenever?
So that I think is really interesting, because I do think this free the nipple is amazing, and this idea that folks with am I allowed to say genitalia? Okay, great. So penis having folks who don't have breasts, right? They're allowed to show their top half of their body, but then who have breasts are not allowed to. That feels insane to me. And I sort of feel that way about genitalia as well. And I think the more we destigmatize bodies in general, I think it's kind of funny that we cover up babies all the time. They're so cute with clothes on, but also yes, they need a diaper, but this idea that we need to cover up, I think is
that is particularly weird. It's almost like we're sexualizing baby dicks or something. That's why we're hiding them. Yeah, that's weird. So you are saying that ultimately you'd like to get to the point where being in the nude in public isn't weird or seen sexually.
I mean, have you been to San Francisco? People walk around nude all the time, and
I haven't been yet.
Yeah, so it's shocking for a second, right? We think that these things are going to be so scary and weird, and because we've been told they're so taboo, and then it happens, and it takes a moment, and you're like, oh right, is a body.
Mhm.
I have a body,
Right.
right? And you're like, and then it just becomes normalized.
Just a couple more questions.
Yeah.
What is this? What is the difference, maybe fundamentally, between having sex in public and being naked in public, as in regards to consent?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you know, I think that there is a fine line there, and I think when I talk about, you know, I think in San Francisco there is a consent. If you're coming into the city, there is this idea, and so we would have to change nationally to having a more accepting idea of bodies in general, in order for that to be something that would make sense here. And sex acts, I think, are different. There is a pleasure that is being, you know, showcased, and I don't think that everybody has to be okay with that. Nude bodies, but I do think the more we take stigma off of the body, the more it leads to these other type of exploration, the other type of destigmatizing what our desires and what we're interested in.
Let me see if I'm understanding. You're saying San Francisco is kind of a place where it's a closed environment, sort of, where being nude is acceptable, and you sort of, by entering, you sort of give your consent to see naked people. Are you saying that if there were a place like San Francisco where fucking were okay, that would be okay?
I mean, there are places, you know, like sex parties and such like that, like those exist, where those are the common rules, and you have consented if you are there to seeing that. So, yes.
Okay. How is there anything that could roll your confidence back? Any data, any evidence, any personal experience you could have that might make you less confident in your claim?
You know, I think like it's always fluid, right? And I think that this is a ongoing conversation, and I acknowledge that it's slow and it's not going to be the same for everybody, and that there are mishaps that are going to happen. You know, when I think about having a kid and bringing a child into this world, like the conversations that I want to have are changing, and it's a constant of like, okay, how much is too much information, and what kind of questions are too probing for a kid? How do I give way for exploration? And so I don't have the final what it would look like. You just know it's not working right now. And I think that, you know, through evidence of like everything that came out with the Me Too movement and all of this stuff happening in this upheaval now, is very clear that how we are talking about this is not effective and is harmful for everyone.
Is there any kind of outcome from your ideal sex ed approach that, you know, if a high school practiced this, that you would, is there any kind of outcome that would make you think that that approach was a failure? Like if for some reason everybody started just getting STDs and
I mean, I guess if like, I guess my answer to that is that
it's just a hypothetical. It would happen.
I guess my answer to that is like, if STDs were to go up, right? Or if your rape were to increase, then things would have to be addressed. So instead of the sort of static approach that it is now, I would say it would be a fluid approach, right? That's like, oh wow, we didn't address this piece, and now there's suffering because of it, and so how can we do better? And I think that's integral in the piece of this ideal sort of approach, is like, there is a conversation. We haven't just decided that we did it and we check it off and then it's just done.
Yeah, we still need to work at it.
Right.
What was your name again?
Geri.
Geri. Okay. Thanks so much, Geri. I would shake your hand, but COVID and all that.
Totally.
You know, so.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. Wow.
Cool.
Good job, Geri. That was great.
Thanks. I could talk about that.
Oh yeah. Would you like a?
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks.
One of the McDonald's colors.
I sweat all over your chair. I'm sorry.
You want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, I would love to plug my podcast. Oh, cool. Yes, please check out my podcast. It's called Finding My Yum. Anywhere that you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, etc. At Finding My Yum podcast on both Instagram and Facebook. And my name is Geri Courtney Austin. So yeah, reach out to me. Cool. Thank you. Sweet.
Yeah, thank you.
So fun.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Fun.
Go up with us, then take a card.
Yeah.
If this ends up on YouTube, you can watch the video.
I should have the
Take
highlight
your
clip
own
up tonight
posture or
or
something.
tomorrow.
Yeah, being like, oh no.
I do that too.
Cool. Thank
So,
you.
remind me,
Jacob.
Jacob. Okay. And
Quinn.
Quinn?
Read.
Reed. This is you. All right.
You want that's
Geri.
I'm Lex. I just was trying to. I didn't know.
Oh, and if you don't want this, like,
No. It's fine. Just don't like that anonymity.
sure, nice. I get that.
Yeah.
I think so.
Sweet.
Well,
Nice to meet you.
I'm sure you guys have had some very interesting conversations.
Oh yeah.
Like these.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a good one. You too.
Hey, would you mind if I post any of these on my channel?
I don't mind. If you want all of the footage, I'd be glad to Dropbox it to you, or
Thank you. I appreciate that.
it might take.
You have 1, 2,
There,
5 angles technically?
I can make so many angles from this thing. I can make this. I've got this close up, a kind of like fisheye wide-ish thing from the table. It's really good. Close up of this, and then yeah, that and that.
Oh, that's awesome. You can get a close up of the plane,
Yeah.
which is horribly written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That pen was too big.
Yes. Yeah. I tried to give you the Sharpie.
Yeah. Too little, too late.
Oh well.
So I think that I didn't want to like interject, but I think one of the cruxes of the distinction between public nudity and public sex acts is the idea of untying nudity and sex. And that's where she said it, but just didn't articulate it in that moment. Was
Maybe
that
not well enough for me to understand it, but yeah, that was very illuminating.
Mhm.
Because we're trying to desexualize the body. And so maybe it's that she thinks sex is not something that should happen in public, but the body shouldn't be sexualized.
Exactly. And if you can desexualize the body, then it would remove the requirement for consent for nudity in public,
Right. Yeah.
like it is in many European places.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with both of them, honestly. I had DARE in my school, and it was kind of very limited.
Hmm.
Didn't take a very nuanced approach to educating me about drugs.
Hi. How was your hike?
Hi.
You want to have a chat? Okay.
It's okay.
Try to be. Yeah.
Yeah? Awesome.
Yeah, we had DARE. It didn't really help, I think. The whole scare kids straight thing, I think makes kids more curious.
That's what they
It's like a huge backfire. And then there's like the slippery slope of, all right, well, I tried marijuana. If that didn't kill me, I guess they were lying about everything. Might as well do heroin.
Yeah, I think the worst part is kind of, or the part I'd be more concerned with is what he was kind of getting into about like psilocybin and MDMA and stuff have, I guess at this point, long been used for therapeutic reasons, and I personally think that's good.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Howdy. You want to have a chat? Okay.
We're out here every week. This is, quick 5-minute interviews about what you believe and why.
All right. What are you talking about today?
It's
Well,
up to
we
you.
Yeah, I can start on a sketch.
problem.
Sure
Thanks,
thing.
man. See you sometime. I stop and talk.
Thank you.
What were you saying about psilocybin MDMA?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I can only speak from a level of personal experience, but also just the fact that it has been, or at least psilocybin has begun its way and being legalized in different states and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. If handled correctly and in moderation, I personally think certain substances are really helpful and beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Just exploring your own mind and being empathetic and all that kind of stuff. Personally.
Yeah.
And I think that Dare didn't even touch that possibility. Like, it was just everything here is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You will become addicted and spend all your money on it.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience with like shrooms, for example, is I've tried them twice in my life, and both times they've just been like I don't want to try them anymore because it was such an existential crisis each time. But it was illuminating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's scary stuff, but.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a bad trip?
One of them I would describe as a bad trip, but it's tough because it's like it felt more like pain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I took them out in the woods with some friends, and really what it did for me was I was so close-minded about God. I think I would describe myself in the past as being he's a strong atheist, someone who claims that there is no God. Yeah, I was that, and then this trip made me explore my own mind to become a weak atheist, and that was through taking that, having conversations with friends. It just opened my mind for the better, I think. And it was the only reason I would describe it as a bad trip is it was because it was painful. You know, it was
yeah.
It's like the feeling you get when you discover you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been wrong about something a long time.
Yeah.
Painful, but ultimately good. Bitter medicine.
Yeah. It's a growing pain, like you described it. That's cool. Yeah, I feel like if utopian society could exist, it would probably incorporate psilocybin in some way.
I think so. But I couldn't claim to know. I had a SE conversation. Do you want to have a conversation?
What?
5 minutes for a conversation? Chat?
What kind of
We just question 5 minutes about anything that you think is true. We ask you
Okay.
why. Awesome.
I'll do it. I'll do it, sure.
Have a seat.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Hi.
Amazing.
My name is Daria. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Daria, Daria.
Yes, correct.
Gotcha. Want to do headphones?
Hmm?
Cool. Check. What's up?
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're about to go on a hike. Have you ever been to this park before?
Last time I just really recognize that here's a park. I love it so far.
Oh, nice. Cool. Are you local to LA?
I just moved here 3 weeks ago.
Nice. Where are you coming from?
I came from Miami. Originally, I'm from Russia.
Russia?
Yeah.
From Miami. You come from the U.S. Why?
16. Yeah.
And have family in Florida as well.
I have family in Florida. I came by myself when I was 16. And then I loved it. Felt like
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, welcome. So today we are practicing street epistemology. It's a way of having conversations about whatever someone believes, and I help them think about it by asking questions and helping them reflect on whatever they believe and why.
All right.
So we need a kind of claim, something you could say is true, is the case, something you could give reasons for.
I don't know. Like, I gotta think about it.
It could be politics, religion, spirituality, science.
Like, I believe in energy, like strongly that everything comes like our bodies is from energy, and there is like not a God, but energy that made all of us, and kind of stuff.
All right. Energy.
Yeah.
Our bodies are a form of energy or made of energy?
Made of energy mostly. Is that we're all connected by energy.
We're all connected by energy.
Yeah. Yeah, so like each person connected to each other.
We're all connected to each other.
Yeah, have like a
okay.
of.
We are all connected by energy. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Let's make that into a question. Are we all connected by energy?
Yeah.
Talk about that question for how much time do you have? Feel free to turn it to the left however much time you have. The other way?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know.
That's
Is it
fine.
seconds?
Minutes. 20 minutes? You want to go?
No. It's too much to talk about. I thought it's seconds. Like, okay.
Okay.
2 minutes?
Okay, that's fine. If you want to go longer, let me know, or we can wrap it up
Alright,
whenever.
yeah.
So we're all connected by energy. What do you mean by energy?
Like by some invisible things that like, we have like our like. Have you heard when it was a fire like years ago? People who was like not in a fire, like in a house, like in Russia, so in 1945, 41, that people were like suffering, like they get scared and stuff like that.
Back in the past,
Yeah.
1941, people were scared and suffering.
From like they were in a house, but they were scared, like they felt the pain, and everyone was connected who even wasn't in the fire at the time.
There was a fire? Or
Like they felt the pain, like most of the people said.
there were people in a house
Yeah.
who suffered, and some other people felt their pain, or they themselves felt
They felt the scare, like I don't know. I like I cannot explain, right? They suffer, like they feel scared, and they feel like I don't know. Like my friend, she's like no, the girl I know in Russia. She told me that she was a long time listens to radio and hear some news. So it was like her grandma was listening to the news to hear like who died at a farm. And so she got in the time, she got the memory of that, and she was doing it too, unconsciously.
Okay, I'm trying to follow.
Yeah, I don't know. I am a bad explainer.
It's no problem. So we're all connected by energy.
Yeah.
Energy is this kind of invisible thing.
Yeah.
That connects people.
Yeah.
What's the best example of how we could be connected by energy?
Like
could that be possible?
I think it's more like I don't know how to make an example, because it's hard. Like
are some people connected more by energy or less by energy?
No, everyone. I think everyone has like
is everyone connected the same amount to everyone else equally? Who's that? Are you more than me because you just met me?
No, everyone, even people who doesn't know each other.
We're all connected equally to everyone. No, we are.
Yeah, correct.
We can be connected to like
correct.
Somewhere in the galaxy.
I don't know about that.
Don't know about that. But everyone on Earth.
Yes. Everyone on Earth, yes.
Just human beings.
Just people, yeah.
Just
human beings.
Just human beings.
Correct.
I'm not connected to like a squirrel over there.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. That
You're
fly.
special.
I'm not connected by flies. Is this claim testable in any way?
I was doing like there are like some psychology. I don't know how to translate in English. Mm-hmm. Like it's more about like you you don't know about the person, what has happened. Like I don't know how to explain, because it's like Germany. Some scientists in Germany, he created like some psychology way how to like heal and know people better. Like also the like the Reiki, it's energy healing, because I'm into it. I do Reiki and energy healing, and it's also more about uh, energy.
Way to keep people because of this energy that connects all. Reiki.
Yeah.
It's a tangential thing, but you get to talk about.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if you want to wrap it up here, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, it's
it's cool. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We try to be here on Sundays. I don't want to keep you. Feel free to take a puzzle piece, a stress ball type of puzzle piece, if you want it, for having the conversation as a reminder. And if you want to come back and get another puzzle piece, to
what color?
This thing.
This one?
Yeah.
It's a whole?
One color. And then you can come back if you see us again and get another color.
All right, cool.
And perfect. Thank you, Daria.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fun.
What's so weird? It's just like you open yourself.
I didn't hear how did it go?
It's okay. We tried to clarify something about we are all connected by energy. What is energy? What is the nature of energy?
Basically, her claim ended up being like every human being on Earth has an energy that connects all of us to each other, but she said it was too hard to explain what it was, how to test it, or anything beyond her claim.
Yeah, I didn't get even it clear enough what it is to get a confidence level.
Okay.
So, oh well, maybe some other time.
That's the kind of thing where believing in that and believing nothing at all are kind of the same thing. Like, you can just say things are connected, and it isn't. That it's not actually making a claim about anything, it's just the way you feel. It's not like believing in leprechauns or something.
I mean, but that's the thing. I agree with her claim, I guess, on some level. I don't know if I'd call it energy between everybody, but I think all human beings are connected. In the sense.
You guys want to pick that up?
I was just kidding. Please continue.
Yeah, I just feel like, we're all so, it's just for the fact that we're all so much more similar than squirrels. So much more similar to each other than we are to squirrels and ants and rocks, that we have something connecting us, even me and some kid in, I don't know, Denmark or something. I don't know if I call it energy. Energy is something a bit more specific to me. But maybe she means the same thing I do, like whatever it is that makes us a sort of collective consciousness, like have a...
So I believe that there is such a thing as a collective consciousness, depending on how you define it.
Right, yeah.
Like, you could say that a social network
is a collective consciousness.
That we all are kind of the crucible in which these ideas furnace, and there is a kind of survival of the fittest mechanism where ideas that are interesting and helpful get spread more quickly than others.
Yep.
And we're kind of actively computing
like
a reality, a mind. But I don't believe that we are connected to that at our own conscious level. It's an emergent property from the collective.
I would agree. Yeah. Wait, what do you mean you don't think we're connected at our own conscious level?
I just mean that we are...
like, do you think that neurons in the brain are connected?
Good example.
You guys can just sit down and chat while the stream is listening.
Okay. I've been ignoring the stream.
Hey, stream.
On the stream.
Yeah, it is.
Anarcha, Rika, Scott, Gina, Susan.
Oh, Gina, hey. Hey, Gina. Gina Kumba.
Hello, everybody. Do you think they picked up our beginning of our conversation over there, or should we?
I don't know. So we're talking about, so if you guys caught the last person, she was saying that everybody has an energy that ties them together. I was just saying I sympathize with her claim if what she means is
Gina
that...
says, hey.
Oh, hey, Gina. If what she means is that we're all connected on some level of like, we're all human beings with minds, and we come together to create some sort of collective consciousness, which I agree is sort of an emergent property of all of our individual minds. But yeah, so where we ended off on was that you don't think that we're connected at a conscious level. And then I asked you, neurons in the brain are connected.
Yeah. Well, I don't believe that neurons are having an experience.
Right, unlike us. Yeah.
The same that we are.
Yeah.
But I was about to just like use my own analogy, and then you came out with a better one.
Oh, awesome. What was yours going to be?
I was just going to say, as we experience that collective consciousness as much as a gear or a cog, you know, and a machine experiences the process that machine is doing.
Mm-hmm.
It knows when it's spinning and when it's not spinning, but it's probably very difficult from the perspective of that one neuron or from that one gear to divine what the real process is that it's undergoing further than its own spin or its own message that it sends.
Well, I'm curious, and this is just me sort of thinking out loud, but I'm curious if you think that us having an understanding of like a social movement is an example of us understanding the emergent property of a collective consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if everyone votes for, or if a majority votes for President Biden, and then he becomes the representative of our desires for our country, are we sort of understanding our role in this bigger thing that's happening on a sort of collective level?
Yeah, it does seem like we can make observations about like what the collective is doing just by looking at the trending tab in Twitter. You can see that, right?
Yeah. And I guess that's maybe, I'm still thinking out loud, maybe that's all I'm saying with my claim, is that we understand that we're connected to people who have similar ideas to us, or maybe somewhat different ideas to us, and we engage with them on levels of, either we're either clashing or agreeing with people, but ultimately we're coming up with some. Ultimately, we have these collective movements or ideas that seem like a result of a collective consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Like even something like environmentalism or something. You know, the push to preserve our forests or something like this. It's like maybe something that you want on an individual level, but because the movement is there, that's to me that's an understanding that others want it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Rupert Sheldon has done experiments on consciousness and talks about morphic resonance. I'm not familiar with that term.
Me neither. Still, I wouldn't call this thing energy.
Mm-hmm.
So this was just me being sort of charitable with what she was saying.
Mm-hmm. I think it's an intentionally vague term.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I have a particular thing that I think it means, but I don't know how much more I could personally, because I'm not very eloquent.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't break it down any further than saying that it's just energy, which is something that sort of animates us or gives us, I don't know, what is energy?
It's the life force that connects all of us. No, it's not. Isn't that what they say about the Force in Star Wars?
Yeah.
My understanding of physics is that the physicist's definition of energy is the capacity to do work.
Right. Yes.
And then you have to define work, which I'm forgetting what that even means. So when they say that energy connects all of us, I think what they're saying, I think about the butterfly effect a little bit when I hear that, which is this idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in, the Dominican Republic causes a hurricane in Florida.
Mm.
So, I am out there putting my energy out, as they would say. I'm talking about things that I believe in, and even just my posture and my affect and my countenance are going to have some kind of, perception that other people have.
Yep.
I perceive their perception, and I might even adjust my affect as a result of that. So
Right.
it becomes a feedback loop
Yeah.
where people are reading each other and tuning our and that energy is connected, and that we're inhabiting the same space, and there's a feedback loop happening between us.
Yeah. I think that happens just in the world as a closed system. Right? Like people, everybody. It's not a very revolutionary claim when you break it down.
Mm-hmm. College, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Wisdom of the masses. Are you familiar with this term? I could be thinking of something else, but I recently learned that if you get a large enough group of people to guess the amount of jelly beans in a jar, eventually the average will come.
True.
It will approach the actual number.
That's interesting.
Because so many people will overestimate, but as many people will underestimate.
Right.
And they do this with the weight of elephants, and you just get enough people. And
is the claim that the more people who, the higher the number of people who make a guess, the closer you get to the true number?
I think that's the finding.
Wow.
I'm not sure how far it extends, or if there's
talk about more about how we know rather than what we're talking about.
It's a good time.
I'm sure it is.
I'm not sure how, what the limitations are. Does it apply to, guessing how many leaves are on this tree? I feel like I wouldn't have the vaguest idea. More than 10.
I'm definitely going to say 2,000.
How many leaves on that tree, you think, Reed? This is Price is Right rules.
Very good.
Okay, so I'm going to napkin math this right now. I'm looking at one tiny little stem, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say there's 10 on
Leaves
each
per
little
stem.
stem.
Yeah.
And then how many of those little stems are there on the bigger stem?
About 10.
Oh.
At least on that one.
Oh my God, there's so many different. Let's say that ranges between 10 and 50. So we'll say 30 as an average. So each of those larger stems, we could say, has about 300. How many of those larger stems are there on this? Maybe 200? So I think that's 6,000. So Reed wins.
No. I think it's under 2,000. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought this was the entire tree. I didn't see all this.
Oh, I wasn't even looking at that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is wrapping back to our falsifiability thing. Want to sit down and have a conversation about...
What about it's our YouTube channel hobby? We like to chat with people about whatever they want to talk about. Help them reflect on
Just giving you some bitter cold. We are talking about this since 2020, when it will happen.
Yeah. Potential question to talk about?
No, thanks. Probably not today, but thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Good luck, guys.
Darn.
7:50.
Probably time to call it.
Poker's at 7.
Yeah.
Unless we can get somebody real quick. Time for an interview?
What?
We're doing some interview for a hobby podcast YouTube channel thing.
Maybe on the way back, though.
This is a great time of day right now too.
Yeah.
Finally shady out here.
Our usual time is like in the less busy time, really. It picks back up around sunset.
Yeah.
Early morning, before noon. It's more busy.
Yeah.
Do you still have that Bluetooth pair of headphones that lets you eavesdrop?
Yeah.
Residence, Eldrake says, quote, the idea of mysterious telepathy, or telepathy-type interconnections between organisms and of collective memories within species.
Maybe on the way back.
It accounts for phantom limbs, how dogs know when their owners are coming, and how people know when someone is staring at them.
All of those are very real phenomena.
Yeah. How do we know that we can do this?
Hit the A button. Zero times your way out.
Well, I'm gonna let.
Who's that? Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for watching. It's a fairly interesting day.
Some trails. And
We all got some good practice in.
I haven't done it, so it's been
Good to be back out here.
since I posted anything.
Yeah.
Get back into it.
Hopefully we'll be back next Sunday.
Just been coming here with Reed. Nature on Reed.
In the meantime, I'll be editing some backlog videos. I have a video, a special video I've been editing for a while. It's been taking a lot of time. But I'll probably have a bunch of these interviews we just did today on my second channel, Cordial Curiosity Clips. Be sure to subscribe to that. Thank you, thank you.
Oh yeah. Everybody's got their own style.
Dolly couldn't make it today, unfortunately.
Yeah, I like your style too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think people talk to you, they feel really into just like
Pokers were streamed on Cordial Curiosity Clips.
you know, they say
I'm really glad I got to play with
when you
my...
ask questions
And here we go.
That's what I've noticed.
Have a great day.